I have found that problem solving is a critical skill if you're looking to unlock your true potential or to make more money at work. It's widely known that you are paid in direct proportion to the problems that you solve. So the better you get at problem solving, the more or the bigger problems that you can solve, higher value you are, the more money you make, or the more you grow in your own development. So in this video, I'm going to show you the method that I use to solve complex problems, really big problems, so that you, if you want, can use it yourself. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. All right, so this is how we're going to start. You may have already seen this, but if not, this is called a fishbone. And what you'll do is at the start of this process, you'll of course outline your problem over here, and then you'll draw these fish bones and you'll brainstorm what you think the root cause is. If you're doing this as a group at work, then you can have a meeting and you guys can brainstorm this. But if this is just you, what you'll want to do is you'll want to write out the problem and then write out what you think is or what could be the root causes for this problem. And then after you have enough of these, you'll want to select the one or even maybe the two that you think are the most plausible that could be the actual root cause of this problem. And once you have one or two of those, then you'll go ahead and move on to the next process. So you may have already seen this as well. This is the infamous 5 whys, but I promise you there's a lot more to this process than just simply a fishbone and then the 5 whys. But if you haven't seen this yet, what you'll do is you'll have your problem description up here, and then you'll ask yourself why. Why did this problem happen? You'll get your answer, and then you'll go ahead and you'll ask why that happened. You'll get your answer, and you'll keep going down. And what will happen is when you get down generally 5 deep, you'll have a good root cause for this specific issue. Now, most problem-solving techniques stop right there, but that's just a simple problem-solving technique. This is something a lot more advanced. So what we want to do and what I do for these more complex problems is you actually want to take this first 5 why. This is going to be 3 by 5. You'll go through this first process, you'll get your specific root cause, and then this actually goes directly over here to this 5 why. And this is going to be around the subject of detection. So this is the specific problem as level 1. Level 2 is the detection, right? Why wasn't this problem detected earlier? And then systematic will be the third level. This will be where we answer the question, what part of our system or what part of the system broke or needs to be fixed in order to prevent this from happening in the future. And the logic or the reason behind this is that if you just do this first layer, this first level of 5 whys, you'll get your specific why, which could help. But if you don't answer the detection issue, right, why wasn't it caught earlier? Why won't it be caught again? Or the systemic issue, right, what part of the system needs to be updated, then this problem will continue to happen. Just fixing it here will not fix it down the road. And so that's why you want to do these 5 layers deep. So you want to go through the first 5 whys, and then you'll get your answer, and then that comes over here, and then you'll ask yourself, based off of this response, why wasn't it detected earlier? And then you'll go through the 5 whys again, right? Why wasn't that? Why did that happen? Why did that happen? Why did that happen? Why did that happen? You'll get your answer, and then this will go over here to the systematic, and with your answer here, you can go ahead and you would ask it what part of the system broke down to where this is an issue. Why did this system break down for this to be an issue? And then you can go the 5 whys deep. And typically when you get down here to this 5th why on this 3rd level, you'll have a very, very deep systematic reason for why this specific error happened up here. And so that is how you can get a very, very strong root cause for the problem that you're dealing with. And here I just have an example of where we get our answer and they go over here into this y, we get our answer and they go over here into this y. Now, this is all hypothetical. Let's go ahead, let's run through an example I have these created right here. So we're going to go through two examples. The first one is going to be professional, like at a company or a business, and the second one is going to be personal growth, because again, this is something I do for both professional and for big personal growth issues that I'm facing. So I can't have these side to side. I was thinking about breaking these down and putting them in here, but it got just so messy and so ugly that I figured you can imagine this while we're taking a look at this. So this is level 1. And so basically we have our first, or here's the problem. Orders are 2 days late. The first question is, why are orders 2 days late? The first answer for that first level is because packing is delayed. Number 2, why is packing being delayed? Answer, because pick lists arrive late. 3, why do pick lists arrive late? Answer, because they're only created after manual inventory is approved. Why is manual approved delayed? Because the inventory manager is overloaded. Why is the inventory manager overloaded? Because there's no delegation or automation in place. Right? Root cause number 1, no system to automate or delegate basic inventory approvals. So again, that's just this first layer, and that's where a lot of people would stop, but you're not getting the full picture. You're not asking a detection question, or you're not asking this from a detection point of view, and you're not asking it from a systematic point of view, so you're not getting the full picture. So then we'll go the detection level. Why didn't we detect the root cause earlier? Why didn't we notice the inventory manager was overloaded? Because we never tracked time spent per task. Why didn't we track time spent per task? Because we didn't have visibility into internal workflow bottlenecks. Why didn't we have workflow visibility? Because we lacked a standardized process or KPI dashboard. Why did we build that dashboard? Or why didn't we build that dashboard? Because we prioritized output over internal operations review. Why did we prioritize output only? Because leadership hasn't embedded continuous improvement or op metrics into the culture. So the root cause for the second step, for the detection failure, is no operational visibility due to lack of process KPIs and continuous improvement culture. So then we'll take it to that third level where we'll look at the systematic issue, right? Why does the organization allow this kind of detection failure to happen? Why don't we have a culture of continuous improvement? Because improvement initiatives are reactive, not proactive. Why are we reactive instead of proactive? Because leadership is focused on firefighting and short-term metrics. Why is leadership focused on short-term metrics? Because incentives and evaluations are based on short-term performance. Why are evaluations based on short-term performance? Because we lack a long-term operational excellence strategy. Why don't we have a long-term op strategy? Because no one is explicitly responsible for driving and owning process excellence. Root cause number 3, systematic, no ownership or strategic framework for continuous operational improvement. Now, this is the core issue. This is the root issue of why the original problem, the orders are 2 days late, happened, right? This is taking it through the specific detection and systematic process. Now, of course, you can tell by the time we get to the third, a lot of these are upper management issues and decisions and culture. So it's very possible that when you're going through this process, if you get down to the root cause, you or your position may not be able to fix it at the root cause. And that's totally fine. It's still very valuable to have this breakdown. What you'll find is what you want to do is you want to go as deep as possible and try to fix it from the ground up. So I think we have the root cause here was no operational visibility due to lack of process KPIs and continuous improvement culture. So not sure how much we'd be able to affect the improvement culture. That's more of a long-term thing and more of an upper management thing. But this process KPIs, maybe that's something that we can do. And so we can start at level 3 here. And start fixing the problem up this way. And so that's how you can add a lot of value at work. And you can even, if you have identified that the problem goes too deep or past your pay grade, really past your responsibility level, then you can still fill this out and present it to your boss and encourage them to share it with their boss, and maybe get upper management's buy-in. It depends on your company culture and all that. But the rule of thumb is, when I'm doing this, is I try to go as deep as possible, even though I may not be able to start at the very bottom here. But at least I have a really, really solid understanding of the root cause for this specific problem, and we're addressing the detection aspect and the systemic aspect of the issue. So that is the professional example. Now, again, this also works for personal growth and development. So we'll go ahead and run through that. Let's see what that looks like on a more personal level. So the goal here is to wake up at 6 a.m. consistently for more growth time in the morning. So the problem is I'm not waking up at 6 a.m. Why am I not waking up at 6 a.m.? Because I keep hitting snooze. Why do I keep hitting snooze? Because I'm still tired when the alarm goes off. Why am I still tired? Because I went to bed late. Why did I go to bed late? Because I was scrolling on my phone for over an hour. Why was I on my phone for so long? Because I use it to decompress and escape after a long day. Root cause number 1, using my phone late at night to decompress is destroying my sleep cycle. Now, again, this is just this is a specific problem. Now we're going to go in the detection. So why's on the detection failure? Why didn't I notice or fix this earlier? Why didn't I notice this habit was a problem sooner? Because I told myself it helps me relax. Why did I believe it was helping me? Because I felt like I deserved downtime. Why did I feel I deserved it even if it sabotages my goals? Because I didn't feel in control of my day. Why didn't I feel in control of my day? Because I didn't schedule recovery or reflection time earlier. Why didn't I schedule recovery time earlier? Because my daily system is purely reactive, not intentional. And so you can see this is the root cause right here, is we're being reactive and we're not being intentional, even though it goes against our goals. So again, this is detection. We'll take it into a systematic POV. So step 3, why on the systemic issue. Why does my life system allow this failure to persist? Why don't I have a structured evening routine? Because I haven't prioritized system building in my personal life. Why haven't I prioritized it? Because I see structure as something I only apply to work. Why do I see it that way? Because I separate work me and personal me. Why do I separate those two identities? Because I haven't committed to viewing personal growth as a serious project. Why haven't I made that commitment? Because I've been waiting for motivation instead of designing systems that generate it. Root cause number 3 from a systematic POV, lack of personal systems, because I haven't fully committed to treating my growth like a real project. So you can see we're getting a much bigger picture of the problem, right? It's not as simple as, oh, I'm just hitting snooze, and that's why I'm not getting up at 6 a.m., right? You can go much, much deeper and figure out exactly what's going on by looking at it through the 3 different perspectives: the specific, the detection, the systematic, because your goal is to get down to the nitty-gritty of the systematic, because if you fix the system, then everything else, the detection and the specific error or the specific problem, fixes itself. And so if you want to get down to the systematic aspect of it. And so you can see it works very well in professional settings, and it works very well in personal growth and development. Now, of course, you're probably thinking, wow, this is a lot of work for just figuring out why I'm not waking up at 6 a.m. And, to that, I totally agree with you. I get it. Again, this is not something that you roll out on every single little problem that you have in life. You only roll out this system on the big problems in your life. So if you're convinced that getting up at 6 a.m. will change everything for you, right? You're able to start a business, you're able to study, get a high paying skill, work out, exercise, whatever it is. If you're convinced that that's a big thing for you, then by all means, going through this process for that would probably be worth it. But if it's not that big of a deal, then it's probably not worth it, and I wouldn't encourage that, or I wouldn't use it for my own life that way. Same thing with work, is you wouldn't use this on every single problem at work. You'd only use it for the super high value problems that can get you raises or promotions or anything like that. And so you want to be picky with how you apply this. The 3x5 why systematic process for problem solving. So don't use it for everything. Use it only for the really big stuff that's actually worth the time doing this and thinking clearly. And you also don't want to BS the answers here. You want it to be as truthful as possible, or it's going to kind of skew the process. And actually, that's what we're going to leave on is a little tip is to make sure that you're filling these out correctly is to add therefore. Because once you have this filled out, then you can go back up and fill it up with therefore. And if it makes sense, then you know your flow is legit. So for this reason, therefore this, therefore this, therefore this, and then therefore this. If you have an answer right here and therefore this and doesn't make sense, then you're probably going to want to address the distance here and revisit your answers here. And so this is a really good way to kind of check your work to make sure you're filling in the right information. And so, yep, that's pretty much it. This is the 3x5 root cause analysis problem solving technique that you can use on really, really big problems in order to get to the systematic issue, because if you fix the systematic, then the detection and the specific problem will fix themselves. But you have to get specific and you have to get to the detection before you get to the systematic. So you work your way down, check your work by working your way up, and then fix as deep as you can in order to maximize your value at work, and then go as deep as you can in your personal development on things that actually matter in order to unlock your true potential. So thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions, please leave it down below. Thank you so much.